forms of inequality, injustice in healthcare is the most shocking and the most inhumane.
Black Health Matters.
Black Health Matters.
Black Health Matters
because Black Lives Matter.
Because Black Lives Matter.
Black Health Matters because Black Lives Matter. As Martin Luther King Jr. said, of all the forms of inequality, injustice in healthcare is the most shocking and the most inhumane.
Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome back for another edition of Black Health. My name is Justin Yard, and I am here with Daryl Moss, the man, the myth, the legend, and we are here to talk about what we talk about every single week, which is Black Health. And today is an amazing day. We were supposed to do this last week, and synchronicity is the word I want to use for Women's Month. So these ladies have been trailblazers in the community when it comes to the birthing world, right? Which is something that's new to me. I don't even know. When somebody said the birthing world, I'm like, what does that mean, the birthing world? How does that even make sense? You know what I mean? I didn't know there was a world of birthing, but these individuals are helping women when it comes to having babies, after the baby, and also how to bring these babies into a what you would call a state of wellness. All right. And so I'm going to have these ladies really discuss what they do because I can't give it any justice at all. I will just say that they are doulas. All right. I'm going to leave that word out there in the air. Doulas are what they are and what they do, and all breast feeding counselors as well. Okay. So I'm going to give it off to Tanita. Can you kind of just give people the intro of who you are and what you do?
Well, I am Tanita. I am a full spectrum doula. I am also part of Springfield Family Doulas. And a doula is a woman who helps another woman with prenatal, postpartum, labor and delivery, and tries to get them in a better state mentally and physically. Be an advocate. It's pretty much what a doula is. I'm gonna give it over to Laconia real quick because the baby right here is not he's not letting me focus.
All right. Yes, I'm Laconia. I'm a holistic doula. I'm the co-founder. Tanita and I are the founders of Springfield Family Doulas. And what doulas are is that we support women who are going to be given birth, basically. And we do it throughout their prenatal care. We do it while they're in labor and then after birth, the postpartum care. And what we do is we like to say it's support, it's education, it's information. And it's really just supporting mom with whatever she needs to do and whatever she wants to do and getting information for her if she doesn't have the correct information. So we have a lot of resources for moms as well. A lot of different techniques to get through those trimesters, because every trimester is a little bit different. Techniques to get through those contractions when mom is in labor, and then the afterbirth with different techniques with breastfeeding and just postpartum care overall for mother. So that's what we do overall as a doula. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. And Vicky?
Hi, I'm Vicky. I just enrolled in a doula program, so I'm going to be starting learning about becoming a doula and getting certified in that. And I'm really, really excited about that. Shout out to Earth's Natural Touch, who just accepted me. Right now, I'm a breastfeeding peer counselor for WIC. And basically what I do is moms who are interested in breastfeeding throughout their pregnancy, I'll communicate with them. I'll, give them information on benefits of breastfeeding, holding classes. I also hold classes with them via Zoom right now because, COVID. Just kind of preparing them for the whole breastfeeding journey I know when I started breastfeeding my little one, I didn't realize some of the challenges that I would experience. So just, making them aware of certain things, making sure they're informed most of all about certain situations, because, a lot of times, actually very often, too often, medical practitioners in the hospital will, by any means, like no matter what it is, they'll just try to discourage moms from breastfeeding and go more towards formula, because for one, they don't know much about it. They don't know how beneficial it is, and they think that the only option is to do formula. So that's what I'm a breastfeeding advocate. I advocate for breastfeeding. I just make moms aware. I make them informed. I give them any challenges that they're having. We work through that together, whether it be via video or me actually showing them what it is. Sending videos helps. Visuals helps tremendously. But yeah, that's basically what I do and why it's important. Breastfeeding is so important and so beneficial to your baby and to you as well. Especially now during COVID, the immunity that it gives your baby, the everything, the comfort, the nurturing. So there's just so much good about breastfeeding, and it's the most, natural process. And, basically, I'm just, an advocate for that. I help women with that. So that's basically what I'm doing right now.
All right, and I just want to take a moment and thank our sponsors. We're finally getting to the point where we have people who feel this program is important enough to sponsor. So I want to thank Dr. Katrina Banks and the Neurologic Optical Wellness Physical Therapy, LLC, for their contributions to ensure that programs like this continue to air on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and anywhere else that we may broadcast. So thank you to Neurologic Optical Wellness Physical Therapy. I get used to doing that. Yeah, we in there. So doulas, breastfeeding counselors, let's talk about it. So Black women in America have more than 3 times the higher risk of death related to pregnancy and childbirth than their white peers. Regardless of factors like higher education, income, financial means. For women over 30, the risk is as much as 5 times higher. They talk about doulas and midwives being invaluable. They talk about the importance of breastfeeding because the disparity between newborn Blacks in contrast to newborn whites is also vastly discouraging. So let's start out and just talk about how important are your roles and the work that you're doing. You guys have kind of like helped to reset the tone for Black birthing mothers in this region. You've actually made this a common conversation for people. When I talk to folks, they oftentimes bring your names up. So let's talk about how critically important your roles are, what you're doing, why you got into it, and where we're going with that. And Victoria, the same thing with you around, just the breastfeeding. I know just from you breastfeeding, I've learned a whole lot more than I ever knew in all my years of living. So let's talk about that. Whoever would like to go first.
Tanita, okay. I was about to say, Tanita's usually the one to go first. We're always fighting to go first. But I'll let you take it, Tanita.
All right. One thing that is really major with us.
Tanita, don't worry about the kids. We're all parents, and this is the reality. So don't even worry about it. If they scream and make noise, we just keep talking.
I know. One major thing when it comes to doulas, we are really needed, especially like you said about the Black maternal health issues. We are our advocates. We are the advocates for women right now in the city of Springfield. Women just I get so emotional thinking about it because women go through so much right now. They're not believed when it comes to their pain. A lot of times when in the hospital, people still believe that because of our color of our skin, we don't feel the pain the same. We don't necessarily express it the same, or sometimes we're intimidated by the doctors that's in the hospital, or we're intimidated. They intimidate us to the point where we can't express ourselves, or we can't let them know how we truly feel. because we also got to maintain the strong Black women quota on how.
Okay, let's give it a second. Okay, Laconia, I'm gonna have you take over until she comes back.
Sure.
Pick
Yep,
up
absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
So I'll just kind of explain my part, and then Tanita can kind of get back to what she was saying. But yes, the question is why doulas are needed. Is
Okay.
that's the question? There was a lot of questions in the question. Oh, here's Tanita's right there.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't even know where I left off at.
Now you were talking about all the complications and challenges that Black women go through during the birthing process.
Correct. So with us being doulas, our job is to be advocates for the woman who's in the hospital. Our job is to be the voice for her, or as well as for her to be an advocate for herself. We want to make sure that people know their rights when they're in the hospital. They know that they have other people behind them. A lot of times nowadays, I can use myself for an example. When I birthed my children, it was just me. It was me. You know, my mother didn't like that scene. She didn't want to be involved in the whole birthing process. And a lot of times, us women, we go through that where we don't have nobody else there beside us. So I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know who can I call. I didn't know if something was normal. I didn't know anything. So my role as a doula is being educated so that when moms do go through this, or they do go through something when it comes to their birth, postpartum, or prenatal, that I'm their voice. I'm the person who they can call on. I'm the one who can give them guidance to what they need to do, or if something's not right, what the doctors are saying to them, or if they don't feel comfortable, I can have them speak up for themselves.
Got you. Okay. Anybody want to add anything to that? And it's interesting. I Googled the role of doulas in terms of improving Black maternal health. And there's just so many articles when it talks about the secret to Black birthing is doulas. Life or death, the role of doulas in improving Black maternal health. Life or death, the role of the Black doulas. There's just so much being written about it on the internet, and I mean, legitimate articles. New York Times, Healthline, Washington Post, Los Angeles Weekly, they all have stories on the importance and critical role of Black doulas. And I know this is a conversation talking about the role of doulas, talking about breastfeeding, and our viewers are probably wondering why I'm bringing up race, because it's critical. I think when we talk about the need for doulas and advocates, as Tanita was alluding to, advocates in the healthcare profession who can advocate for Black parents, Black mothers, Black babies, talk about some of the critical needs that most white doctors, Asian doctors, Indian doctors tend to disregard and gloss over. You guys are the mouthpiece. And as I read more of these articles, it's just so important that we have these conversations so that people know and understand what they need to do, and that there is a superwoman that they can call who can help come to their rescue. So I don't want to jump in and talk too much because y'all are the experts, but wherever you want to jump in, Laconia, Victoria, Justin, jump in.
Sure, absolutely. I agree with that. You know, when you're in the hospital and you have somebody that's educated and informed and knows what the heck to do, or what to say, or to say, no, stop, I need a minute, then you get you'll get a different kind of care. That goes for not just a mom birthing in the hospital, but anybody in the hospital. If they're in there with somebody that's supporting them and that knows what's going on in the hospital, knows about what the treatment should be or should look like, then the treatment overall is going to be different, because now they're like, okay, they know some stuff. We gotta do something a little bit different. Or we could just say our client is like, stop, we need a minute, and then everybody leaves the room, and we talk to our client, and it's like, okay, this is what's happening. There's the information on it. Let's get a second for you to breathe and figure out what choice you want to make, so that you are making an informed decision, and not a decision on being scared, not a decision on being intimidated, because you have a second. Usually in the hospital, even when it's close to an emergency, you have a second to be like, okay, what should I do? And not really panic and run in and do a C-section or something that's not necessary. So we really push that. Like, can you give them a minute? They need to speak about it. Now that something's changed, they need to discuss it. Let the parents discuss what's happening. instead of just like rush, rush, rush. So we always give it a minute for them to understand what's going on with their body and what's going on with the process. Because it's their life, it's their baby, and it's their birthing experience, you know? So it's just like everything doesn't need to be medicalized, everything doesn't need to be rushed. This is a baby coming into the world, and we forget because it's so medicalized that it's sacred. And I like to say with my clients, when we are in the hospital, I like to tell them that I like to keep the space sacred. So I'm like the sacred gatekeeper of the room, so they can still have that kind of beautiful experience. Even if something is going wrong, okay, something is going the way you didn't want it to go. Okay, let's talk about it, let's understand it, and let's get through it type of thing.
So like pretty much breastfeeding can, is relatively the same, is relatively the same approach I take. Your breastfeeding journey, you'll be more successful at breastfeeding if you the less medicated birth you have. So if you choose not to, use any interventions of any kind, you'll have a much more successful start into your breastfeeding journey. And that successful start is important because that is what makes or breaks, your breastfeeding journey. If if your child's not latching right away, or you're having all these issues in the hospital, C-sections, medications, you're more likely to give up. I love how Laconia mentioned the word sacred, because it's so important. In the hospital, throughout time, it's changed to this, industry of, you're like a number, you're just giving birth, bada bang, medicine, epidural, whatever. When birth should really be like this, like she said, sacred time. It should be like low lighting. It shouldn't be any panic. There shouldn't be like people running in and out of the room. As soon as you give birth to your baby, they shouldn't take your baby and weigh them right away. They shouldn't wash off their the vernix that's on there. That's actually a protectant for them. That should stay on for like a few days. Cutting the umbilical cord. As soon as they cut that cord, they take the blood for stem cell research or whatever right away. That's not, that they do that, for whatever business reasons, money, whatever. You don't have to allow that to happen. You can take your placenta home. So as it relates to like all those things like that, as it relates to breastfeeding, that sacred space, that sacred energy, creating that for you and your child and your birthing experience lends to a much better start in breastfeeding. And a good start in breastfeeding, you're more likely to breastfeed for a longer time. So I just wanted to, relay that.
There are some things about breastfeeding that people don't really know about in terms of, like, say when a baby's sick, how the body just automatically adjusts its output or whatever that chemical mix-up is to make sure that it meets the baby's needs. Can you guys, I thought that was so fascinating. Can you talk about that a little bit?
I can kind of talk about my experience. Oh, go ahead, Tanita.
No, go ahead, Coney.
I can only talk about my experience, but I'll leave the other stuff to the breastfeeding counselors. But for me, whenever Sage was I felt like she had a pink eye, squirted a little bit of, just a drop. You don't even need a lot, just a drop of breast milk right in the corner of her eye so it can absorb it. Boom, a couple hours later, her eye was back to normal. I believe she had an ear infection, which went along with her teething, which explains the reason why I got bags under my eyes right now, because she's teething. But yeah, just having just that one drop of breast milk it's like antibiotics, but it's natural. I've used that for her when she was an infant, maybe 6 weeks. She started getting little pimples, little rashes on her face. Breast milk dried it right up on her face. Next thing you know, it's gone. So it's so magical, but I'll leave it to the breastfeeding counselors because they have much, much more information on what's really in it.
Okay. Tanita, Victoria, who would like to go?
Well,
Go ahead, Tanita.
I am a certified lactation counselor. So my job is to inform moms about, what breastfeeding does and, how to better latch the baby, as well as better positions to be in with the baby. But there is always somebody above my step. But with breastfeeding, it is pretty much, it's called the liquid gold. Like it's crazy. The first milk that comes in is called colostrum. The colostrum is like the baby's first like immunization. Like it clears the baby out completely. It clears all the meconium out the baby, which is the first poop. It's like if you give the baby the first colostrum, your baby is not gonna, like, for instance, if you give the baby the first colostrum when the baby first comes out, it clears that all out. For otherwise, if you give the baby a formula, a lot of the meconium don't come out until the baby's about 5 years old. So it's like the big difference of what colostrum can do for the body. It just automatically clears the baby out and it gives the baby as much as vitamins and minerals that it needs. And when the baby is sick, it's like your milk automatically changes to a little bit more colostrum. It becomes more yellow compared to white because it's all the antibiotics in the breast milk that's helping fighting off the the flu or the cold that's in the baby. So it's like you're just like how how they give you the vaccine to show you what's in that stuff to fight off the disease that's going to be in you. Is pretty much what breast milk does. So it triggers the flu or something that's in you, and then it develops more to fight it off. So it's an incredible thing. It's quite, and actually when the baby is forming, or the baby is 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, your breast milk actually changes to whatever the baby needs at that present moment. So it's like if the baby, something's wrong with the baby's eyes and the baby needs to have better vision, like the age of 3 months, your milk senses that and it changes to what the baby needs. If your baby has an earache, your milk changes to help the baby fight their earache. And this is without even squirting it in their ear. Your milk just automatically does it. It's quite incredible. As well as the benefits it helps for the woman. Like by breastfeeding your child for over 6 to 7 months, it actually helps you reduce your, I mean, some people gain weight too because you do get extra hungry and you do get extra, thirsty. But if you just fight through that, you can actually lose weight from it. It helps your risk, it lowers your risk of breast cancer as well as uterine cancer. It's a crazy thing how it all aligns for your body and the baby body to exactly what it needs.
Wow, that's amazing. That really is
To add to that, studies have shown that it reduces the risk of SIDS for babies. There's less stomach issues, like Laconia and Tanita said, less respiratory issues, less allergies. It may reduce the risk of certain chronic diseases. Also for moms, what's beneficial is when you are breastfeeding your baby, that oxytocin is released and, it's the bonding. And then, it's so intimate. It's like your body and your baby's body is connected perfectly matched. A lot of times when your baby is crying, and I figured this out later after having Zuri, when your baby is crying and you can't figure out what it is and they don't even seem to want, even if they don't seem to want to go on the breast right away or they're having trouble latching, just by you taking your shirt off, the baby taking its clothes off, and you guys just lying there, they call it skin to skin, that just regulates it regulates the baby's blood sugar, blood body temperature. It calms them down, and then it allows them to latch. So that it just shows the connection that you and your baby have, which is so beautiful and makes so much sense because when you think about it, you shared a body with this little human for like 9-10 months. So I mean, the benefits of breast milk is just ridiculously good. So,
and a lot of times we have stigma with myself. We have stigma when it comes to, we're talking about babies here, but there's a few of us who do breastfeed toddlers also. There is big stigma when it comes to, oh, your baby's too big to be breastfed, and after 1 year old. But they're still getting benefits. Your milk is still changing for that baby, and there are a lot of benefits dealing with having a toddler who breastfeeds. Also, studies have shown also that when a child is breastfeeding past the age of 1.5 years old, they are one of their IQs are actually higher than a lot of babies who have not, or who, when they continue to breastfeed from 2, 3, their IQs are a lot higher than other babies who are not fed at that age or continue to be fed at that age.
I
And
can kind of speak on that.
Oh yeah, go ahead. You was probably gonna say the same thing.
Yeah. So when Alden started kindergarten a year and a half ago, I guess, but when he started kindergarten, his teacher asked me, "Did he breastfeed?" She was like, and I was like, "Yes." And she was like, "I can tell the breastfeeding kids from the kids who had formula just in the classroom alone." And I was like, "Wow, that was mind blowing. That was mind blowing." So I wanted to share that little piece.
So even in terms of intellectual development, they're almost light years ahead of babies their own age, correct?
That is correct.
Wow.
And that's not from that study. Studies have shown that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But not
right.
shaming anybody who does not breastfeed, because fed baby is best. Fed baby is
Yeah.
best. Definitely not shaming anybody who cannot. Definitely not shaming anybody who cannot breastfeed or have a difficult time. A lot of moms don't know that we are out here to help and to encourage moms when it comes to breastfeeding. And just because you don't want to breastfeed does not mean you cannot have a doula. It does not mean we can't help you with the best way to feed your baby. It does not mean that. Fed baby is best.
Fed baby. Okay. And just for clarity, just so you know, for our viewers or anyone who may watch during the week, you're right. This isn't to shame anyone that doesn't breastfeed. This is to make women aware of their options when it comes down to doulas, when it comes down to protecting the Black birthing experience and the Black birthing process. Just so everybody gets it clear and gets it straight. This is about Black health and just making sure that people understand their options.
And to add to that, the number one reason why women stop breastfeeding, particularly women of color, is lack of support. Once they start, when they don't have that support, when they have people talking negatively about them continuing to breastfeed, that contributes to them greatly stopping breastfeeding. So I mean, like Tanita said, it's not about, you know, trying to convert women to breastfeeding or whatever, but it's about, a lot of women want to breastfeed. A few do, and you know, when they come up with certain challenges that happen in the breastfeeding process, they don't have that support and they just tend to give up. So when you are guided through that, when you are supported, when you are able to share your experiences with those mothers, you know, you kind of you create this bond with them. They start to trust you, and it starts to inspire them to keep going, because you know, you can say, you know, I've been through that too. I know what it's like, yada yada yada, and then, you know, they're more inspiring because it's like, if you could do it, then I can do it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it's about for me, for probably for all of us, right?
Yeah, definitely. To piggyback off of that, I breastfed my oldest until he was like 3.5 years old. I had naysayers when it came to, you know, people telling me I need to stop, and he's too big and all this other stuff. But with me breastfeeding that long, I was the first one in my family to breastfeed. From that, I've had, you know, more of my cousins started to breastfeed. I was a peer counselor like Vicky. So I was encouraging other people to breastfeed, and with my cousins breastfeeding, they've breastfed cousins that came behind me. They've breastfed their 3-4 kids, which went down, and now they're breastfeeding their other kids. Like it becomes something normal. I've had also one person who I encouraged to breastfeed. She breastfeeded her 4 kids, a set of twins and 2 others, and now she became like a lactation counselor, and now she's like somebody big in the lactation world and encouraging her family. So it really does come down to support as well as advocacy of what you're actually doing.
Okay, that's what's up. That's good. I mean, that's good information. Justin, anything?
I think it's just very important for people to understand that the options are more than options. They are important for people to hold on for people to understand that this is how it used to be done. You know what I mean? So let's create the narrative that this is the norm. And if you can't, like they said, it's an option, but it was how things were done. And for formula, a formula is just like anything else. It's a part of the dairy industry. A lot of people don't know that. Formula is the dairy industry, which is one of the biggest industries in the FDA. When you talk about most foods are going to have a piece of dairy, plastic, and some other things with it as well. But dairy industry is one of the biggest industries. And so when we talk about formula pushed, we got to understand that's not all scientific. All right. If you look at people that's been formula fed, which America is probably the highest formula fed in the world. You can look up that on the World website. To see still high rates of bone density, vision loss at early age, SIDS, things like that. So it's not like this big push for formula, which is what babies are getting fed, is scientifically based. You understand? So I want people to just know the narrative has been changed, and it's because of big money, to be honest. And then what used to be, it was predominantly in every culture, was breastfeeding.
So what you're telling me is a lot of American women stopped breastfeeding because of the preeminence of the dairy industry. As they begin, you're saying that as they begin to grow, they would market to people cow milk and discourage folks from breastfeeding?
It's something. I know you guys are gonna chime in, and I'm gonna shut up after this because I don't even know enough. But it's people talk about systematic. It's literally systematic because you get it for free. You get formula for free. The government programs They created a system around formula and not a system around breastfeeding. You do have people like Victoria and Tanita who are breastfeeding counselors in these same government agencies and offshoots, but overwhelmingly, you are going to see the push for formula in government agencies that have to do with the birthing world.
Okay, and that's good to know. I want to make sure you clear that so that our viewers will thoroughly understand that. You can research that. It's all there. Tanita, Laconia, Victoria, anybody want to add anything?
Yes, I kind of want to go over like what we do as doulas. So you go to our website, you check us out, you like what you see, and you contact us. And so the first thing we do is we do a consultation, and that consultation is free. And we just kind of go over what mom and dad or partner wants and what they vision as their birth. And we try to make that possible. But you know, birth is birth, and baby comes out whatever way baby wants to come out. So we also have those options of, if this happens, let's do this. If this happens, let's do that. But really just preparing them with the prenatal care, preparing them with comfort measures, teaching the partner how to do comfort measures so that they can labor at home and not be in the hospital as you know, they can be at home as long as possible, basically. But just really doing that. Comfort measures are so important because when you're at home, you're uncomfortable, you don't know what to do, you can't sleep, but your partner's like, okay, I remember what the doula said. I remember what to do. Or they can text us and we can be like, use your birthing ball, bounce on your birthing ball, do a little bit of exercising on your birthing ball. We talk about that. We talk about nutrition. We go over a little bit of nutrition because the first trimester is crazy and sometimes it's hard to keep food down. So just getting some kind of nutritional value in that day or throughout the first trimester. Then you want to do what else do we go over with prenatal care? Prenatal care goes over comfort measures, nutrition, and just what mom wants and how mom is doing. As a holistic doula, I like to end all of my consultations with a meditation because it's hard. Sometimes it's hard. You know, your body is going through all these things. Your emotions are all over the place. It's expected to feel that way. But I bring it back to mom really tuning into herself and kind of doing a light meditation with them just so they know what's going on. Let's get back into the body. Let's reconnect. Let's talk. Let's feel what's going on in your body. So we do a lot of mindfulness with that too, just to keep up with the body, because sometimes you could be outside and doing this and doing that and the world is so crazy, but you got to sometimes really tune it back in. Okay, this is what my body is doing. This is why I'm feeling this way, and really just getting that mindfulness and settling down, relaxing, feeling that baby's heartbeat, feeling your heartbeat, feeling everything really connected. As a holistic doula, I do that with my clients. And then just preparing for baby as well. We do for prenatal care. What's happening after baby? What are you going to do? What are your plans? What are you going to eat? Because it's hard. Those first 6 weeks are precious. Those first 6 weeks are really for mom to heal, for mom to rest, and for mom to bond with baby and breastfeed if she chooses to breastfeed. So we go over that as well. Just really planning that out, because sometimes we forget we have baby. People come over to visit baby, and then mom's just like, I'm exhausted. The house is dirty. I don't have any energy to cook food. I don't have anything nutritional in my body. And it just makes for a tougher healing situation. So we go over that and planning what's going to happen after. We do meal plans with them. Will says hi. So we do meal plans with them as well. Am I still on?
Yeah, you're still
Okay. Okay. And then for labor, so mom calls and she's in labor. We either meet her at the house if she wants to labor at home, and we do so many different comfort measures with mom. Yeah, Sage, right? Yeah, we do comfort measures, and then when she's ready to go, or we feel like she's ready to go, we go to the hospital with her. Of course, because of COVID, they were only letting one person in, so we were virtually there, either FaceTime, Messenger, Facebook. There's so many different videos you can use on your phone. We're just there with them the whole time still, even if we're not there physically in person, we're there over the phone. So that works out. And then if they wanted to do a home birth, we'd be there at home. If they wanted to do a birthing center, there's a birthing center in Florence. We're there as well. They know us very well. And just really being there with them from the beginning and then to the end. So postpartum care comes. We see them probably a day or two right after, making sure our baby's latching if they decide to breastfeed, seeing how mom is doing, if they needed anything. And we always bring a nutritional soup. There's nothing like a good soup when you're done having babies, something light but nutritional. And then we see them for the next 6 weeks as well. And not a lot of, for moms, you don't see your OB or your midwife until, what is it, Tanita, 6 weeks later?
6 weeks
So
later.
yeah, so it's so important to see them before that, because if they're having postpartum blues and they don't even know it, we can catch that in time and be like, okay, here's some resources, or I see you're feeling this way, or you explain to me this is how you feel. Let's get a little bit of extra help with that. Just really catching those things as well. I don't know, Tini, do you want to add?
We have different things when it comes to postpartum. Sometimes moms, need somebody to help them at night. We do that also. We have a lot of different plans on our website to actually identify what moms do. We do help you out when it comes to how exactly you want it to work out. So let's say you want us to come every week or maybe every 2 times a week to maybe help you out, help breastfeeding. Since I'm certified lactation counselor also, I do help when it comes to the breastfeeding. So I make sure that I do see mom maybe a day or two after to help her latch on. I make sure that 3 or 4 days after that, I go see her again because that's when it gets a little bit more hectic. So I help her with breastfeeding. I help her with little chores around the house, like for instance, washing dishes. I know that was a big stress for me. It's like my house, I can't focus on keeping the house up when I'm dealing with a newborn and trying to breastfeed. So that's a major thing that I really try to focus on when I go see my
Dirty. I don't have.
Is because the extra help, they may need just the extra help of washing the dishes or straightening out the thing, or they might even need somebody just to play with the other little kids because maybe the other little kids feel like they're not included, or mommy's spending too much time with the baby and I'm excluded. So there's many different things that could be helped or needed when it comes to the postpartum issue, and we want to just make sure that we are there and let them know they have another hand to help them.
Okay. Can you tell what exactly is a birthing center? Can you hear me?
I can go. Who wants to take that one? So, Vicky, you're on mute.
Is she talking to us?
I think.
Okay.
Maybe not. So I can kind of go over it. So for a birthing center, I feel like it's a step down from the hospital. So it's not as medicalized. They don't have the epidurals. They don't have the Pitocins. They don't have all the extra. The only thing they have is laughing gas. So it's more of a natural process. You're walking into a birthing center, and it's almost like a home. It's closest to home setting. You have the bed. You have a birthing tub. You have a shower. It's big space. They have so many different comfort measures to assist you during labor. So that's more of what a birthing center is. They're really more towards doing natural births and
Okay.
really focusing on mom and really paying attention and giving her that need that she has that the hospital is very difficult to have because they have so many patients at once. So it's like rush, rush, rush.
So this is the closest thing. A birthing center is the closest thing to giving birth at home, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
If you haven't been, the birthing center in Florence is beautiful. We know them up there, and it just is really. I would definitely refer them if they needed a different option than the hospital.
Okay. Got you. Now, how many people are allowed in? Like in the hospital, you can only have one person. If you give birth at home, are you allowed to have other people in the room, or is it still limited to just one?
So in the birthing center, they allow, I think, at least 4. They allow the doula to be in. So the doula is not counted as your plus one. In the hospital, the doulas are counted as your plus one. So your partner's not it. You either have to pick your doula or your partner. Nobody wants to do that. So we always step aside and be like, have your partner there. They know you the best, and we'll always be on the phone with you. But the birthing center allows at least 4 people.
Okay. So that additional support is absolutely needed, correct? That family support, that spiritual connection, it's just you feel warm, you feel protected. It just makes sense. Okay.
It's how we always birth. You always have your mommy and your auntie and your sister, and it's just a room full of women of color that look like you, that support you, that know you, that know you. You know, you don't have to worry about feeling like you have to look over everything and see if somebody's trying to do something wrong to you, because you have that protection from your family and friends and your doula. They're looking over you, so all you have to worry about is paying attention to your body and birthing your baby.
That's it. Okay. That's beautiful. All right. Justin, Tanita, Vicky, anything you guys want to add? You're all muted.
I know we said you can also reach us at www.springfieldfamilydoulas.com. And if you want to look for a doula, I'll learn more information about us.
You said www.
.springfieldfamilydoulas.com. We have a free consultation up there. You can just say when your best time is, and we can have a free consultation with whomever.
All right, and I got to ask this question as well. So this is a Black-owned company, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Do we have any Black-owned birthing centers at this point, or is that something that we're still working on and something that we need to accomplish?
That's something that we need to accomplish.
That's something we're trying to put in the making, like yesterday.
Right.
And I think that's critical. I think for us to, to leave a predominantly white hospital, or, basically there's no Blacks, to go to birthing centers where we're still dealing with predominantly white people who don't exactly understand the challenges and complications. That move, I mean, although necessary, I think is probably critical for us to really work on that birthing center. Okay. So hopefully this time next year, we'll be talking to you guys about the possibility of building that birthing center, correct?
That is absolutely correct.
Okay. Let's call it. Let's claim it. Let's make it happen. All right. I had to ask that question. Okay. Justin, anything? You with me, man?
Just letting these gurus do what they do. You know what I mean? I know I've heard them speak before, so there's so much information that they have. I think one of the questions I do want to kind of ask is when birthing, right? In the hospital, right? The advocacy that you guys provide, and after they give birth, what do you see the difference in, especially people that have had 2 or 3 kids and 3 of them were without a doula and 1 may have been with a doula? What have you seen a lot of kind of their experience being with you?
Well, with myself, what I've noticed with they find that it's a more calmer atmosphere, meaning that me myself as a doula, I make sure that the atmosphere is what they need it to be. So whether they want music or whether they don't want as many people coming in and out, whether they don't want this person in there, I make sure that they have the space that they want. You know, because a lot of times people can't focus on that. They can't focus on everything that's happening on external when they dealing with everything internally. You know, they're dealing with the pain. They're dealing with, you know, concentrating on the labor. They're thinking about the contractions or the surgery. So if they're focusing on that, how can you focus on everything else that's around you? So I make sure that their environment is exactly how they want it and exactly how they need it to be. As well as giving them a space where when somebody comes to you and say, hey, we're about to do, let's say for an example, we're about to do a episiotomy or we're about to give you Pitocin. And instead of telling them, or instead of asking them, hey, do you mind if, or would you like to know our next step? You know, I make sure that the mom understands what's going on with her body. I make sure that she understands what they're saying to her, because they can throw out these words and you're just so in your zone that you're like, yeah, yes, okay. You don't even know how to function and to actually concentrate on what they're telling you. They're not even asking you, they're telling you. So we're going to back this all up and we're going to talk about it and we're going to make sure that you understand what they're exactly saying to you. That's a big difference between then having a without a doula and with a doula. A doula is going to make sure that you understand exactly what's going on in your body, what's being put in your body, what's happening to your body, and what exactly those doctors are saying to you.
Okay, that's what's up.
Because basically, you have rights. You have your own birthing rights, and a lot of us don't even realize that. We just assume that we have to go by certain protocols or we have to do things a certain way. But it's up to you. If your doula is advocating for what you desire in your birthing program.
I think it's so important for people to know that it's like anything. If you go in there educated or with somebody that's educated, it's just like I don't want to use this example, but there's women that know cars, but there's women that don't know cars. And if you don't know cars and you go into that you go into that mechanic, you ended up with a bill that's crazy. And in this case, it's life or death. And having my first child and being in the room and knowing that information, I know kind of the logistics of hospitals, but have no idea when it comes to the birthing this side of anything. And so having a doula there changed my whole outlook. I was very aggressive because I already know the stats when it comes to Black women and Black babies leaving out there all in peace. So I was very aggressive. You know what I mean? When it came to the people that were there, they did a terrible job at bedside manner. They didn't know how to kind of communicate and what time to communicate. Laconia was having contractions, and they were saying, "What's your address again?" Like that doesn't make any sense right now. She's about to have a baby, and I think that right there is the part. And I want you guys to speak on this really quick. That right there is the part where it changes everything. They think it's just another person having a baby, and they really kind of minimize that whole process. When I went there, I was like, "Wait, she's not going for a checkup. She's having a life coming to earth." Like that wasn't, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what I realized a doula does. Make sure that, like you said, was sacred. And I think people have to know that that's what it's supposed to be. And please communicate that to people, like how that is supposed to, how you're sitting in the room and the ambiance and everything like that. Even though you did say it, but I know driving that home to people to know that you should have an experience that's just not a checkup where they're just asking you questions and they're saying, push, hurry up, being very disingenuous to your process.
And another thing that,
If I could speak on that, what it is really what it comes down to is providing culturally competent personalized care when it comes to women birthing in the hospitals. Whether you're at home or whether you're birthing at home or you're in the hospital, it needs to be personalized. It needs to be, and you need to be culturally competent, especially if you're in a community that's filled with culture. And we've seen that too. And it's like there's some people out there that are helping to fix that and change that, that we've kind of connected with. But it's just like it has to be personal. It has to be culturally competent care for these women. Really, it does.
Absolutely. And I think that, I mean, that's critical. That's super important. I think that's probably the most important thing. Again, if you Google, doulas and black birthing moms, well, if you just Google black birthing moms, they talk about the answer to the survival for the majority of black women are the fact that they have doulas. And I can't wait till they add, doulas and birthing centers, and then anything else we may need to help to cultivate that process. Because I think it's too medically academic as it is. And I think getting back to the point where it's a natural birthing process with folks who empathize with the mothers. Again, these aren't people who are there because they're severely ill or sick. These are people who are bringing life into the world, as Justin said. And I think that's a difference that most Euro physicians just don't quite comprehend. So just had to throw that out there. All right. Just back to you. We are at the 51-minute mark. So it's almost, we have 9 minutes until we wrap up. We want to thank everybody who's watching. This is Black Health. Let's talk about it. We are on with Tanita Council, Laconia Fennell, and Victoria Rowe. And we're talking about doulas, the black birthing process, breastfeeding, all of that stuff. And it's like, these are things that we need to have conversations about. And I know a couple of weeks ago, someone stopped me. I forgot, I'm not sure who we had on the air, but they were saying it's really cool that we have two black men who are bringing black women on to talk about black health. And I'm like, this should be a standard conversation in our homes. It shouldn't be anything new. This is what's supposed to happen. So I just want to thank you guys for coming on. But Justin, I'll turn it back over to you, bro.
Thank you again. If you guys want to do us and everybody here a favor, because you will be doing them a favor in giving your contact information on where to reach you, because your services are needed. Okay, so if you can go down the line, I'll start with Miss Council first. Your information, where they can reach you.
Well, you can reach me at Springfield Family Doulas, right there.com. We are also on Facebook, Springfield Family Doulas Services, and we also are on Instagram, Springfield Family Doulas also. I also do placenta encapsulation, which is a lot to that. So you definitely can hit us up on there if that's something that you're interested in or would like more information about also.
Okay. Next up, Laconia Fennell. I think your information is the same, but again, and then also add your closing thoughts and just express to people why this conversation and this topic is just so vastly important for our community, period. So, you ready?
Yep, I'm ready. Multitasking. That's what we do. So yes, you can follow us on Instagram on Springfield Family Doulas, as Tanita said. Follow us on Facebook, Springfield Family Doula Services, and we have our website up and running. If you need to book anything, you can book it right on the website, and it comes directly to us. And that's www.springfieldfamilydoulas.com. Our motto is, our nurturing runs as deep as our family roots. Tanita and I are cousins, and we treat our clients just like our family. Because who doesn't want to be treated like that when you're giving birth? You want to be treated like family. We want to make sure our clients feel comfortable with us as well. We do baby wearing workshops. I am training to be a naturopathic herbalist, so a lot of it is based on postpartum herbs, prenatal herbs, things like that for mom during the birthing process. I also do Reiki, and I do a little bit of Thai yoga body work, which is really good during pregnancy because it allows your body to relax and really heal and really just focus on what it needs to do and not be as stressed out when you're building up baby in that belly. So
Right.
yes, we do that, and we're in the community a lot. We do a couple of things and they're free. We do strolls in the park, and that we're going to be relaunching that because it is nice outside. So we're going to be out there either at Forest Park or Blunt Park, and bring your strollers, your babies, bring your bigger kids if you want. They run in the field. We do that weekly, so we'll be relaunching that. We also do community birth circles, and that one's virtually. So moms can be able to just like talk and support each other and kind of just get through whatever it is or share whatever it is that they want to share. And we always have special guests on. So that's monthly. And we also we're going to relaunch this as well, is the Daddy and Me. So it's the dads. The dads control that. Daddies and their babies, and virtually just chilling with other dads and reading books and doing what they do. And we don't control that. We do whatever they want to do. Really having that, because it's so important to really, for me, I'm big on family. And family means dad too, and partners. And sometimes we often have it separate, and I love it when it's together. So yeah, that's what we do. Keep in touch. Next week is Black Maternal Health Week. Tanita and I will be on Tuesday. We'll have to send you out the flyer. But we'll be talking about celebrating Black maternal health, celebrating babies, celebrating Black mothers, Black families. There's going to be 4 different speakers. So stay tuned. We hope you join. It is a free event. And I think that's it. I'm Laconia, Holistic Doula. You know where to contact me.
All right. Okay, Victoria Rowe.
Yeah, so I work through WIC, but if you want to hit me up through any of my social media platforms, Victoria Rowe on Facebook or Instagram, Vicky_E_Rowe. You can also call my Google number or text 413-729-0153. I'm more than willing to share information as it relates to breastfeeding. I really don't mind. And yeah, I thank you for listening. As far as closing thoughts, one thing I thought of as we were having this conversation is just that, and Laconia brought up family and treating like her clients like family. And I know, a lot of our clients is, from the community we serve. So they're either Latino or Black. Something so empowering and so reassuring about having another Black sister next to you while you're trying to bring life into the world. Because a lot of times in the medical industry, we don't see very many people of color or doctors delivering our babies. So it's just so familiar, so like family. You feel understood, and I think that's what's so inspiring. I think that's what's so important here, is just having someone who you could relate to, who understands your struggles, who understands your pain, who listens to you, who looks like you, who's not going to judge you, who's not, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, this doula thing is so important. I recommend especially any woman of color who's pregnant right now or trying to get pregnant, to look into getting a doula. That's all I have to say about that. They already spoke on why a doula is necessary. Because like Laconia and Tanita said, what was said a lot tonight, this birthing experience is so sacred. And it's not really just about you. It's about that soul you're bringing into the world as well. They're experiencing their own trauma coming back here. And in the hospitals and, in the medical industry, they don't really look at that. They don't really think about the baby in that way, in the way that, what they're experiencing to get here. As soon as they come out, they see these bright lights and people taking them and weighing them. That is traumatic. So, I highly encourage you all. Laconia and Tanita are excellent. The Birthing Center talks about you all the time. You guys are doing an excellent job. And yeah, that's it. Thank you, Dee and Justin, for having us on the show.
All right. We want to thank all 3 of you guys for coming on, For those who don't know, the lack of safety in birth affects every Black mother, from Olympian champion Serena Williams to the high school uneducated dropout. The challenges are still the same. Most people assume that it has a lot to do with economic background and economic challenges and how it impacts the birthing mother. It doesn't. You can be a Black multimillionaire giving birth, and you can be somebody coming from, the neighborhood down the street and around the corner. The same challenges. Black women of all socioeconomic backgrounds are facing life or death challenges every time they give birth. It is not because of their health. It's not so much the pregnancy. It has more to do with the treatment or the services that are afforded to them. So if you're giving birth, if your significant other is giving birth and you're watching this, if your daughter, your granddaughter, your niece, it doesn't matter. I'm with Victoria. I would strongly suggest that people find themselves a doula of color. That may be the difference between life and death of your beautiful Black mother. So get with it, people. The services are available, and I'm not going to lie to you. The services are not, let me say this again. The services are not free. We have to pay for everything. These people have to live. They have to survive. They have to pay bills. But at the same time, they want to be available to you at all times. So contact them if you have questions. www.springfieldfamilydoulas.com. You can reach them, ask all the questions. Victoria Rowe gave their number. If you just gave birth or if you're about to give birth and you want to know about the breastfeeding process, give them a call. And
I didn't give their number. I gave my number. They have their own number.
No, I said you gave your number.
Oh, okay.
So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Justin. I'm going to let Justin close it out the way he normally does. Thank you, everybody.
Real quick, Justin, I want to say that we do sliding scales. We do have payment plans. We do actually help you find a way to be able to pay for it if you need to. We definitely, there's not insurance now, but hopefully soon. And FLA. So we do have options for moms who are trying to have a doula.
So let me ask this. I know we're about to go off the air. I got to ask it. So insurance doesn't cover this?
Not quite yet, but legislation is trying to move to actually have doulas be paid by insurance because they do actually see the need and the benefit of having a doula.
Okay, so now is this state legislation that we need to help get pushed, or is it national?
There's numerous petitions out to help get it back onto the legislation because it was on, but then COVID happened, and then we already know how that goes. But it was definitely.
I got that. Are we talking state legislation or are we talking federal legislation?
Right now it's state because different states have different outcomes where their insurances are paying for doulas. So right now state is trying to get it moved to be paid by insurance.
So we need to have a conversation with State Senator Adam Gomez, State Rep Bud Williams, Orlando Ramos. We need to bring them to the table, have that conversation to make sure that they're working with the Black Latino Caucus up in Boston to ensure that this legislation happens, right?
Yes, definitely.
And I say it publicly because I hope they see this. We will be giving you a call because the doula care is critical. Mm-hmm. And we're going to need that legislative support to make sure that young Black and Latino women have access to these services. No excuses, no barriers. All right. Thank you. Mr. Yard.
And as always, thank you very much for tuning in to Black Health. And thank you again for these trailblazers because they literally are. Nobody knew about doulas really in Springfield, from what I know. Let me not say that. But every time I hear about a doula, somebody's coming up to me, oh, do you know Laconia? You know what I mean? And it's amazing. And then people are asking me about breastfeeding, and now people are getting aware of what's going on. So thank you again for giving us your time and giving us your energy. And we would like to see everyone next week. And we're going to have y'all on again because this conversation has to be continued and add some more time to it because you guys have so much information that the community needs. So we'll see y'all next week on another episode of Black Health with the man, the myth, the legend, D Moss, and myself. D Moss got the stone. What is it called? I'm sorry for getting your bet August. I'm excited. I'm sorry I had to throw that in here.
It's all
August,
good.
I always forget the name.
August 21st, Springfield Indie
Say it
Soul
again.
Festival. Springfield Indie Soul Festival.
Indie Soul is back, y'all. Whoa.
Yes.
21st. Give something to give the people. All right. So if you vending, please go and contact D. I'm gonna plug you because I'm excited. Best music. He does the thing. I'm sorry for going off tangent, but see you next week. All right. Love yourselves. Black health starts with love. All right. Peace.
Black Health Matters.
Black Health Matters.
Black Health Matters
Because Black Lives Matter.
because Black Lives Matter.
Black health matters because Black lives matter. As Martin Luther King Jr. said, of all the forms of inequality, injustice in healthcare is the most shocking,